Everybody, welcome back to a Rabbit Hole Matrix. This is going from the beginning of the end in my book, Rabbit Hole Matrix. I hope you guys one day get to check it out. Right now I'm in the process of getting it published. Actually, it's in the stage of being edited as we speak, but I want to go through this book for everyone. And I'm going to start back right where we left off in the last video. So, in the end of the last video, we were talking that religion is nothing more than a tool used to control people by instilling in them the fear of a wrathful and vengeful God. Now, the source of all things would never demand to be worshipped. When worshipped is forced, it holds no meaning. We covered this a little bit before. I just wanted to briefly go back over a little bit of it for those who weren't able to watch the first episode. Now, they're in constant fear of being dethroned, cast down from their high horse by someone or something greater. This should sound familiar because this defines the so-called gods of all major religions. It's all a sham, as you guys will soon discover. Now, sorry about that, guys. I got a little mixed up here. Where are we at? All right. And 3. Followers of Satan at one point in time long ago in this battle, but we're talking about the forces of darkness. This is a cosmic battle. It's of a spiritual nature. It's not materialistic. Matter does come into play because matter was the fall of spirit. It fell into darkness, and darkness, like I said before, is parasitic in nature, and it vampires its life from light. Well, Satan's followers were cast from paradise into the realms below. This is not where I'm supposed to be, guys. I'm sorry because we skipped a little bit, but we'll go from here. Iblis. We're talking about Iblis. Iblis is actually Satan in the Islamic religions. Iblis, he was the defier of God. Well, it doesn't matter if you want to believe that these things are real, that these entities exist. It won't change the fact that they do. The same stories can be found in all the Abrahamic religions, as well as many others across the globe. You just have to have eyes to see through the smoke. Now, according to Christian lore, God's first creation were what was called the seraphim. And these seraphim, were what would be described as lion-faced, serpent-like beings whose eyes flashed like fiery bolts. Now, Satan was the most powerful and ruled over them all. Just as in the Muslim tradition with Iblis, Satan was created first and was one of God's most powerful angels. However, he was prideful, jealous of the Lord. He believed he would be a far better ruler and convinced many others to follow him. And well, eventually a battle ensued, and God created man, and he told Satan, "Look at man, whom I have created. Isn't he a marvel?" Satan became infuriated. He was very prideful and arrogant, and he was in no way, shape, or form about to lower himself to this small, little, insignificant being that God called man. So Satan became infuriated. He began to condemn man, telling the Lord, "He only praises you because you have given him everything. Allow me to tempt him, to punish him, and I promise you he will curse your very name." The Lord, for some reason, maybe it's part of nature, maybe it has to happen, and it actually does. I want to get to that, but I don't want to jump ahead too far, so keep that in mind, that this is all predestined, predetermined. The outcome is already known, and there are some things that are unfathomable to the human mind because we are a finite being. Our intellect is extremely limited when we talk about the infinite. So, he will curse your very name. The Lord accepted his challenge, and then you know the story. Satan tempted Eve, and the Lord cursed Satan. Satan gathered an army of his most elite warriors and attempted to pierce the veil of heaven, but was ultimately destroyed and cast from paradise into the bottomless depths below. Now, when we talk about cast from paradise, we are talking about dimensions. There are dimensions of reality. Right now, we are in the material plane. You can consider it the material dimension or the material plane. But the higher and higher and higher you go, the more etheric you become, the more subtle your substance is. But the higher frequency your spirit is emanating. So, sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. So, now in the abyss, Satan and his followers still refuse to submit to God. And I want to tell you that these followers are still here today. And many of them walk amongst us and look just like us. They're the ones who refuse to do what's right, who refuse to stand up for truth, who refuse to pursue happiness, who revel in evil things and malicious activity. And those are his followers that still exist today. They are the ones that were cast into the bottomless depths. And we're going to get to this. These are demonic entities that have infiltrated this simulation. Now, they eventually broke free from their bonds, and they roam the earth to this very day, tempting and leading man astray out of spite for the Lord. This is but one version, but there are others. There is one that claims that this world is nothing more than the creation of an entity named Yaldabaoth, which means blind one, or ignorant, or blind God. In this tale, we're trapped in a world of illusion on a false earth in which there are two kinds of men. One are children of God and the other are sons of Satan. Both look exactly the same, but one is inherently evil with no soul. Their only desire is to destroy and pervert all that is true and good. This is in fact the reality that we live in. You got to understand, we're battling forces in this world that seek our destruction and feed off of our misery. These are spiritual vampires. They crave energy released by our emotions like fear, terror, anger, hate, etc. This is their world, not the sons of God. Our job is to remain faithful until the end. We are at a distinct disadvantage when battling these forces in many ways because they know each other at a glance. However, when you build a true relationship with your Creator, they too will become visible to you. It shows in the eyes. It really does. I've seen these forces, and you can see it. It's a shimmer, like it takes me back to the creation of the seraphim. There's a flash. There's an ominous sparkle in the eye, and you can see when someone has been possessed. You can see it right upon entry. They shine and they sparkle, or they flash ominously. They are terrifying, but they can be beat. Love, mercy, compassion, empathy. These are their demise. I'm going to tell you all a very personal story, one which I've never related to anyone, and it's of extreme importance. I was in a pretty dangerous situation one time, and I don't want to, without getting into too many details, there are instinctive things in human nature that, we are a being that, in order to survive, we must always be observant of other people. We watch their emotions, we watch their movements, their breathing. Are they perspiring? Do they seem to be nervous? All these things are happening in our brain without us even contemplating them. And that's when fear arises and things like that. But long story short, the way I was able to escape from that situation was the sign of the eyes and flashing and sparkling ominously. They're like, it's hard to see and explain unless you've been there to see it for yourself. But let's move on from that for right now, and we're gonna continue on here. I should have had all this stuff separated a little bit better for you guys, but I'm a little disorganized here at the moment. So, the reason I tell you these stories, of which I have many, much more deadly and terrifying, is to help you understand how to spot these things, these entities, these forces, because they are real. The eyes. Eyes are windows to the soul. Don't mistake my meaning. Some people simply have intense stares. Don't go thinking everybody's possessed by a demon because they have a pretty intense stare. That's not what I'm saying. When it happens, you'll know it. But until that point comes, let's not go grabbing our vampire steaks and chasing anybody with dark eyes. So, um, now that you have a better understanding of how to spot these beings, it'll be easier to see them when they do appear. They don't appear for everyone. It's not that simple. You have to be a child of God. And I'm not talking of any specific religion. I'm talking about the ultimate God, the ultimate source of all things. That everything sprang from originally. You got to understand, reality is like an infinite well that never runs dry, and God is its source. Everything that pours forth is life out into the universe, and without Him, nothing would exist. All mankind, every human being, everything in reality is nothing more than God experiencing Himself infinitely. Everything is an appendage of Him. So there is no separation from God. There is only God. There is nothing outside of God. Now, in occult symbolism, you have what's called the Ouroboros, which is the snake eating his own tail. And it's said that the serpent encompasses the light. And he does. The serpent does encompass the light. The serpent is always outside of us, seeking to consume the weary when looking for easy entry wherever he can. So we must always be on guard and conscious. We must try to radiate and emanate positive energy with positive thoughts, with treating people kindly, because everything creates something after its own make and kind. Now, compassion doesn't create hate and animosity. Compassion breeds compassion. Hate breeds hate. War breeds war. All of these things breed after their own make and kind. So you have to think, who are these people in power? They cannot be of benevolent nature. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some, because there has to be some type of equilibrium, some balance in order for this thing to be fair. And there are laws, and I don't say that as simple as it sounded. That's not the best term to use for it, but for lack of a better word, that's what we'll say. It's just not fair. You know, we have to have a chance. We were given free will. We can't be dominated. We have to have the ability to make choices on our own. And that is what will eventually determine where you leave and where you go after this place. Are you going to return here? Is this going to be your eternal prison in which you, just like the DVD, are on an infinite loop? Or will you finally wake up and realize that you are not living in the world that we've been taught? That this world is nothing more than a simulation in which we are meant to escape, because our destiny is one of greatness. We must aspire to reach the highest heights. If we settle for this mundane, finite, fake illusion reality, then this is all you will ever have. I thank you guys for watching. Please hit like below, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to keep producing stuff. This is the Rabbit Hole Matrix. When we come back, I'm going to get back on some of this book. You guys have a good one.